And I saw angels hurrying to and fro in heaven, descending to the earth, and again ascending to heaven, preparing for the fulfillment of some important event. Then I saw another mighty angel commissioned to descend to the earth and unite his voice with the third angel, and give power and force to his message. Great power and glory were imparted to the angel, and as he descended, the earth was lightened with his glory. The light which attended this angel penetrated everywhere, as he cried mightily with a strong voice, Babylon the Great is fallen, and become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. The message of the fall of Babylon, as given by the second angel, is repeated, and with additional mention of the corruptions which have been entering the churches. The work of this angel comes in at the right time to join in the last great work of the third angel's message as it swells to a loud cry. And the people of Yahweh are thus prepared to stand in the hour of temptation, which they are soon to meet. I saw a great light resting upon them, and they united to fearlessly proclaim the third angel's message. Angels were sent to aid the mighty angel from heaven, and I heard voices which seemed to sound everywhere. Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh has remembered her iniquities. This message seemed to be in addition to the third message, joining it as the midnight cry joined the second angel's message. The glory of Yahweh rested upon the patient, waiting saints, and they fearlessly gave the last solemn warning, proclaiming the fall of Babylon and calling upon Yahweh's people to come out of her, that they might escape her fearful doom. The light that was shed upon the waiting ones penetrated everywhere, and those in the churches who had any light, who had not heard and rejected the three messages, obeyed the call and left the fallen churches. Many had come to years of accountability since these messages had been given, and the light shone upon them, and they were privileged to choose life or death. Some chose life and took their stand with those who were looking for their Lord and keeping all his commandments. The third message was to do its work. All were to be tested upon it, and the precious ones were to be called out from the religious bodies. A compelling power moved the honest, while the manifestation of the power of Yahweh brought a fear and a restraint upon their unbelieving relatives and friends, so that they dared not, neither had they the power to, hinder those who felt the work of the Spirit of Yahweh upon them. The last call was carried even to the poor slaves, and the pious among them poured forth their songs of rapturous joy at the prospect of their happy deliverance. Their masters could not check them. Fear and astonishment kept them silent. Mighty miracles were wrought. The sick were healed, and signs and wonders followed the believers. Yahweh was in the work, and every saint, fearless of consequences, followed the convictions of his own conscience, and united with those who were keeping all the commandments of the Most High. And with power they sounded abroad the third message, I saw this message will close with power and strength far exceeding the midnight cry. Servants of Yahweh endowed with power from on high, with their faces lit up and shining with holy consecration, went forth to proclaim the message from heaven. Souls that were scattered all through the religious bodies answered to the call, and the precious were hurried out of the doomed churches. As Lot was hurried out of Sodom before her destruction, Yahweh's people were strengthened by the excellent glory which rested upon them in rich abundance, and prepared them to endure the hour of temptation. I heard everywhere a multitude of voices saying, "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yeshua." I was pointed down to the time when the third angel's message was closing. The power of Yahweh rested upon his people. They had accomplished their work and were prepared for the trying hour before them. They had received the latter rain or refreshing from the presence of Yahweh, and the living testimony had been revived. The last great warning had sounded everywhere, and it had stirred up and enraged the inhabitants of the earth who would not receive the message. I saw angels hurrying to and fro in heaven. An angel with a writer's inkhorn by his side returned from the earth and reported to Yeshua that his work was done, and the saints were numbered and sealed. Then I saw Yeshua, who had been ministering before the ark containing the commandments, throw down the censer. He raised his hands, and with a loud voice said, "It is done." And all the angelic hosts laid off their crowns as Yeshua made the solemn declaration, "He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still." Every case had been decided for life or death. While Yeshua had been ministering in the sanctuary, the judgment had been going on for the righteous dead, and then for the righteous living. Yeshua had received his kingdom, having made the atonement for his people and blotted out their sins. The subjects of the kingdom were made up. The marriage of the Lamb was consummated. And the kingdom and the greatness of the kingdom under the whole heaven was given to Yeshua and the heirs of salvation. And Yeshua was to reign as King of kings and Lord of lords. As Yeshua moved out of the most holy place, I heard the tinkling of bells upon his garment. As he left, a cloud of darkness covered the inhabitants of the earth. There was then no mediator between guilty man and an offended God. While Yeshua had been standing between Yahweh and guilty man, a restraint was upon the people. But when he had stepped out from between man and the Father, the restraint was removed, and Satan had entire control of the finally impenitent. It was impossible for the plagues to be poured out while Yeshua officiated in the sanctuary. But as his work there is finished,